What's up, and welcome to the Tim Vaxelbaum Show. This is episode 55 of the program. I am very happy to be coming to y'all this afternoon. Technically, it's actually noon. It's not even afternoon. It's 11:57 a.m. on December 1st. It's a very good December so far because the stock market's up. Crypto is up a little bit, but we're kind of not really talking about crypto anymore. We'll still talk about it, but like crypto, we're kind of trying to move away from that image of like being somebody into crypto because it has a bad reputation. Sam Bankman motherfucking Fried. Holy crap, was that guy. I'm actually kind of surprised that his thing turned out to be a total like scam. I don't know if can he sue me for saying that? Probably not. It was a fucking scam. He was using customer funds to try to do I don't really understand what was going on with that exchange because I kind of have like my gut told me that something was going on that sounded a little bit fishy with that particular exchange. Like, I don't know. I'm just going by what my gut told me is that they gave away like yields to their clientele. They gave you like, interest. I actually don't know. That's just what I thought I heard or something. Because all those fucking things that pay interest on your crypto, they all pretty much turned out to be fucking Ponzi schemes. Like Celsius, that's one that I actually used because it's like, hey, I could earn like up to like 10% interest a year on a bunch of different coins. And then they kept lowering the interest. It's like, come on, there's something going on there. So I pulled out all the money from Celsius right before they closed out people's ability to withdraw. So I dodged a fucking bullet, and we're talking about six figures. So not like a small amount of money that I didn't care about. I'm not that rich. 6 figures is a shitload of money to me. So I got lucky so far in my life with crypto. Crypto will make you battle tested against any marketplace. It just, if you could survive crypto, you're going to be war torn. You're going to be like very experienced in the finance. I don't know. I don't really know if you really learn anything from crypto other than that. Maybe if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. I mean, I'm somebody who actually started a business in the cryptocurrency field. I didn't just invest. I didn't make any money from investing my own money. So now I sound like a fucking Sam Bank. No, I ran a legitimate business, as crazy as that sounds, especially the way I talk about things. It's like, really? You ran a legit business? Yeah, I actually ran a legitimate business in the crypto world, and that's rare. Nobody has a legitimate business in crypto. So, I mean, that's a pretty true thing to say. That, like, the only things that are legitimate in crypto are people that sell pickaxes. So what does that mean? It means people that have a business that just helps you get information about crypto, like a tool that tells you like, okay, here's a nice little algorithm to show you which coins are undervalued based on some research that our system does. That's like an example of a business that I had, or a business idea that I almost tried to do, but I gave up on it for some reason, even though it was a very good idea. It was called cryptoeval.com, and it was just an algorithm that I designed 100% myself to just tell you, it calculated a score, like an index, like here's the score to tell you how overvalued or undervalued any crypto is at any given time, at the precise moment. And it would tell you, okay, Dogecoin is 1,000% undervalued according to our proprietary insight. And it was pretty accurate. It was correct. It was like, yeah, Dogecoin is pretty undervalued back in 2018. And other people have done this since then. They do it. There's some companies here in Austin that do that job pretty well. They tell you, and they charge money for it, like a subscription or something. And that's a pretty good business model because it doesn't rely on actual money moving around. It's not an exchange. It doesn't involve wallets, which is a nightmare. It doesn't ask for investments as in crypto. It's just a simple service. So those would be the types of services in crypto land that I would actually be like, okay, that's fine. But even then, I would still be skeptical of their behind the scenes business model to make sure, because I'm very skeptical these days, and I'm somebody who actually did a business successfully, and I don't do it anymore because of the reasons I kind of already talked about. Crypto is a very like non-safe industry, like, so I'm distancing myself from it, but that doesn't mean I'm selling my holdings until the time is right. And usually you kind of know when to sell. It's when there's a huge surge in the price. But here's a little tip. You don't ever sell your whole bag of crypto. You just don't. There's always exceptions to that rule. Like if it's a shit coin and the project is clearly going underwater, then yeah, you try to pull out 99% of your investment, or maybe 90%, because you never know. But most of the time, those projects that die, yeah, they're gone forever, and they make a fork. Sometimes, very often, they go, oh, we fucked up, we got to redo it, we got to roll out the entire blockchain again. So, and that's a very nauseating process. So if you don't follow the project, you're going to miss out on the swap, and that's not good. So it takes a lot of active following of the communities. And then if you do that, sometimes you can make a shitload of money. Like in the case of Shiba Inu, somebody made like $6 billion from I believe, $6,000 they invested, of like about $10,000 at the most. Or maybe, who cares? 20, I think. 20,000 is what I think this person invested to make $6 billion in less than a year. So that's like the most successful single investment of all time. And so, yes, it's possible to become extremely wealthy from crypto, but that comes with, obviously, the downside of you're probably going to lose it too. Most people are going to lose it. So anyway, it's not the time to sell, but stocks are up, so that's why I'm in a good mood. And I just had a good night. I just had a very reaffirming night last night, and I was dressed up the wazoo. I was like dressed to the nines. I'm getting pretty stylistic with my clothing. Right now, I'm wearing nothing. I'm back to being like low key. I'm Tim Weichselbaum right now. I decided that if I'm doing this podcast as Tim Weichselbaum, I'm not really going to dress extravagantly anymore, because that's what Timmy Gusto, that's his thing. I don't want to fucking tread on his water. So yeah, this is how I dress. Tim Weichselbaum is punctual. He doesn't dress to impress. He just tries to do the job. Timmy Gusto is a freaking crazy person. He's not, I'm not trying to be a dick, but like, he's crazy. Like, he dresses insanely overabundant, like more than, you don't have to wear like socks, like designer socks. Nobody's going to know that you're doing that. Or like a designer underwear, really? Like, but anyway, I had a really good night last night, and I just found out that I'm into scarf. Like, I look good. I look fucking awesome in scarves. Timmy Gusto looks awesome in scarves. I'm the same person as him, so I don't have to keep fucking changing the name. You know who I'm talking about? Myself. I'm Timmy Gusto as well. It's my comedy name. It's my stage name. It's It's a good stage name. I'm starting to like it because the way I say it is fun. Tibigasto. So it is fun. I'm starting to like it. Scarf. So I wore a scarf last night and I was like, holy fuck, this just makes me feel so fucking important wearing a fucking scarf. And I felt like a rabbi. So you have this fucking droopy wool thing just hanging to the ground almost, and you just feel more powerful. So I'm that's gonna cost a lot of money. I gotta increase my clothing budget for this winter alone is gonna cost me a lot of money. I mean, I buy things like that hoodie I wore on the last episode. That's just a hoodie. And it's going to go out of style. And people notice it because it's so loud. So I can only, I don't want to wear it for like a year. It's only pretty much for this season and spring. When it gets warm, that's when it's gone. So that's like a $500 hoodie. I got it for a little bit off. I got it for a discount because who would buy that? It's a child size hoodie. There's not that many rich people who buy their kids $500 hoodies. So it goes on sale pretty often. So that's one of the benefits of being a short man. They don't really tell you about this in school or in society, like in the dating world. They don't tell you any of the benefits of being a short man, and there's actually like a shitload of them. You fit through narrow pathways easier. You don't have to say, like, excuse me if somebody's, like, blocking the way and they're in a conversation. You don't feel like bothering them. You could just slide right through. You don't fall over as much because your center of gravity is way closer to the ground. So the odds of me losing my balance are, like, next to nothing. So it's pretty awesome. And what else? I don't know. I'm going to live forever. Like, the only downsides of being short are you can't really protect other people in a fight. You could walk women to their car still. Like, that helps to at least have somebody there. But that's why it's unattractive. Like, okay, you're going to walk me to my car? It's like, thank you, I guess. I'd rather have somebody else. But yeah, that's the downside of, like, who wants to fuck a short dude? There's fetishes for it. Like, some people are into it. Some women are into short men. But most of them, they look past it sometimes, but, like, nobody wants that. It's not hot to have, like, a dude, like a short, whatever. But I like it. Being short, there's really no benefit, no downsides. But for other people, they definitely look at me as like a lesser being. They look at me as like a child, which sometimes I get annoyed intellectually if somebody thinks I'm like too dumb to have an opinion on something just because I look young. It's like, well, that's not true. I actually am in my mid-30s, so I kind of have enough life experience where, yeah, I do have some pretty, real opinions that are actually, like, based on truth, and, like, I'm actually pretty damn mature, smart. And smartness should be, like, recognized, I think, because who the fuck built society? This is, like, smart people. That's who invented everything that we like and use, and, like, it should be put on a pedestal. Like, if not intelligence, yeah, there's other things we celebrate, like athleticism, and art, but, like, come on, man, like, intelligence is like the most important thing for the world's survival and making the world a better place. So I'm not really ashamed of, like, my intelligence. The only reason to be ashamed of it is because other people don't have it. And you feel like an elitist when you point out that, hey, I'm kind of smarter than you on every subject in the world. Like all encompassing. I have more intelligence than you on pretty much everything. Even subjects that you studied in school, I naturally can just figure it out. Anyway, so that's why you don't talk about it, because you look like a fucking jerk. But it's true. Some people are way smarter than other people, and why not give them credit where credit is due? I mean, there's people smarter than me. I don't fucking meet them very often, but they're out there. No, I was fucking kidding. There's very smart people that I come across every day. Anyway, let's do an update on sleep apnea. I just got diagnosed with sleep apnea a couple days ago. It's a mild case, which makes sense because it's not like I'm waking up gasping for air. I would have known if I was like really suffering from a severe case. So it's mild, but it's diagnosed. I have it. So I ordered a fucking machine. I ordered one of those CPAPs. The thing is, I got this shit diagnosed through a private company. I just Googled sleep apnea, and the first, there's ads that come up say, hey, yeah, if you think you have sleep apnea, just use our service and we'll send you a one-time use device for about $200. And that got me the diagnosis. So that's a pretty decent deal. It's not covered by insurance, so it's out of pocket. And that's the thing that goes along with with getting the CPAP is I did not get a insurance. Insurance is not involved in this process because I didn't go through my primary care to get this diagnosis. But the thing is, it has to do with also how patient I am, because I do have an appointment with an actual specialist, and I could show them the diagnosis and they will probably take it and be like, okay, yeah, and then prescribe me the CPAP, but that's a month out. So I don't have that kind of time to wait for something that I'm suffering from. And I have enough money to spare, where I'm lucky and I'm fortunate enough where I could just buy the thing and it's not going to completely deplete my bank account. I mean, I spend a lot of money just on child designer clothing. So yeah, I could afford the machine. But anyway, so yeah, sleep apnea, it sucks. I wake up with a headache and it lasts for hours and hours. So I can't just get out of bed and get going with my day. I have to lie in bed. And that's the part that sucks about it, is that I'm not tired enough to sleep, but I'm also too tired to do literally anything else besides lie in bed, read Reddit. Reading Reddit is not healthy for your brain. It's not healthy for your mental well-being, because so many people on there, the whole reason for that platform is to complain about society and to talk shit and judge and nitpick. It's good for information. It's really good if you have a problem and you want to find out if other people have the same problem as you. You'll definitely learn a lot about yourself. So it's really good. It's a good resource for self-improvement. So I like Reddit, but that's where you go if you want to find out the worst thing about somebody. You just can dig up dirt on somebody because people are very opinionated on there. Same with YouTube, but I like YouTube better because YouTube is way dumber than Reddit. The average YouTuber, way dumber than the average Redditor to this day. Even though Reddit is a very popular platform at this point now, but still, people on YouTube, like, I just look at them as children. They're very easy to talk down and make them go away, but Redditors are fucking stalkers, creepy fucking stalkers. Okay, so we covered that. Sleep apnea. Yeah, we're going to get it fixed. I'll do another update once I get on the machine. That'll be interesting. Sleeping with a freaking Darth Vader. That thing is going to be pumping oxygen into my mouth or nose, mouth. I don't really know how it works. I just know I bought the thing as soon as I could, because I just kind of want to get it fixed. Anyway, and also melatonin had a problem. I take melatonin to get to sleep, it actually works very well if you only take 300 micrograms. If you take more than that, it might not work. It might actually give you insomnia. I learned that from Reddit. You only need 300 micrograms of melatonin and it'll fucking knock you out. But the problem is it makes me very groggy the next day and it lasts almost the entire day. So I'm not taking that unless I absolutely have to anymore. Okay, let's do another update. Let's get through all the boring shit. I'm ADHD update, Adderall. So I'm still kind of in the honeymoon phase of Adderall because it's fucking awesome. And I'm just talking about the medical benefits, not like the recreational benefits. I don't take it recreationally. I have a very hardline stance against taking Adderall or any stimulant like that's powerful enough. The powerful stimulants, I don't take those recreationally. I think that's very dangerous and a bad habit. It's not good to do that, but it has benefits if you actually are using it for the proper reason that it's designed for, and that is ADHD is one of the reasons you'd use. That's pretty much the most effective treatment for ADHD. So it fucking works, and I still take a very small amount, like 5 milligrams a day, so yeah, I have a lot lying around the house, so that's a good thing to say on the internet. You could just break in and whatever. I keep it in a safe, so that's... Oh, now I just told people that I have a fucking safe. So, that was smart. I'm just doxing myself. Anyway, I'll just give you my address. No. I don't know, man. It's scary, man. That's the thing that's scary about like being a public entity or trying to be a public figure is like... That's gonna not be fun when people actually like start actually stalking me and like, but you got to take the good with the bad. I mean, it's kind of what I'm asking for by putting my face and name on the internet. So you got to have security in mind. You got to have like, it's expensive to have that. So Joe Rogan, I mean, any famous comedian should definitely have bodyguards. I mean, that's not even a crazy thing to do, even if you're not that famous. Even if you're just me, I need bodyguards because of the insanely controversial things that I say and believe. Like, I'm dangerous to some people. Some people consider me like an enemy of the state, which is fucking anti-American. To think that's like a very fascist thing to say, which we talked about on the last episode, fascism. I'm the type of podcaster who talks about things from both sides of the issue. I don't just go, okay, no, that's bad. Fascism is bad. Or what else? Or vaccines. They're only good. They're all good for everybody. Everybody in the whole world has to take the same thing. Yeah, that's not how medicine works. Medicine is not a one-size-fit-all. It's just not how that works. Like I was saying, with melatonin, Adderall, any fucking drug is not the same for everybody. So you gotta modulate. The only point I make with the vaccines is, and how it relates to fascism, is if you're trying to demonize people for not taking it, you're the demon, actually, because not everybody needed to take it. I mean, I hate to keep harping on this, but like, it's true. You can't really deny that everybody didn't need to take it. I didn't need to fucking take it. You might argue, oh, you should have. Yeah, okay, you survived. You didn't die, which they were probably unhappy about. Well, fuck. Okay, that would have been nice if you did die, because we wouldn't have to have this discussion. Like, sorry, but yeah, I didn't fucking die. That's the first thing. That's what some people said. They were like, because I told them I wasn't getting the vaccine, and they would just be like, oh, so you want to die? It's like, yeah, sure, because I want to die. So I knew that I wasn't going to fucking die, probably. So I already had COVID. So before the vaccines even came out, I already had COVID. So I wasn't in a hurry to get the fucking vaccine after having COVID. It's like, and so it turned out, yeah, I didn't need it. Maybe someday I'll need some sort of RNA vaccine, but not right now. I mean, information changes all the fucking time, so you got to keep doing your own research. The only point I'm making is that clearly not everybody needed it. So you probably should rethink the whole, like, demonizing people for that, for just being a little bit hesitant, and having people have to prove that they're good enough to be on a plane. I mean, okay, I understand. Spreading it to other people is the other part of the equation. But what if you don't go anywhere? What if you just stayed home the entire year? Well, then yes, in that case, there's no shame in not getting the vaccines. And that was me. I didn't go anywhere. In all of 2021, I didn't really go anywhere. And the times I did go out, everybody else already had COVID or was vaccinated and still got COVID. So it didn't really stop the spread. So I feel like I'm kind of right that not 100% of the population needed it. So that's all I'm saying. Just don't be absolutist about things. Not everything is black and white. That doesn't mean I'm an anti-vaxxer. I'm very pro-immunization, whatever that might be. Whatever the most effective low-risk way to immunize yourself against something. And getting COVID is the number one most effective immunization against COVID. Obviously, it's simple logic. So anyway, I'm just trying to demonstrate that even though I put out these ridiculous clips that make me look like an insane person, that's obviously just to get views. And I actually am a little bit more thought out when I actually talk about these. I'm actually like a pretty reasonable person. But yeah, I put out the funniest, most triggering parts of the podcast to get views. And so far, I have not gotten banned from anything. I haven't gotten any videos censored yet from any platform, which I'm pretty happy. That's a good sign that, I don't know, I'm just not popular enough to get banned yet. Once I get popular, of course, that's going to happen. I mean, you got to be prepared for this shit. You can't just be like fucking Andrew Tate and just go back, like, once you get called out for something in the past that you'd said, you can't just be like, oh, I didn't know I was going to be famous when I said that. It's like, okay, then why'd you say it? I mean, if it wasn't true, it shouldn't matter how famous you are. You should have principles that you stick with regardless of your fame. I don't know, that's just something to think about. So we talked about ADHD, I think, and I'm still in the honeymoon phase in the sense that I'm still experiencing a lot of positive effects. Not quite euphoria. I'm not really getting much euphoria anymore, but I still get that relaxation. And it's very easy to tell when it's working because of my driving skills and how confident and at ease I am around other people. I don't get stressed nearly as often when I'm around other people. I still get irritated, of course, because people are irritating regardless of what you're doing with yourself or what drugs you're on. Other people are still going to be very irritating. Even if you don't know it at the time, it might take a couple hours for you to be like, holy crap, I can't believe I just let that guy be so obnoxious and I just took it, like, whatever. Sometimes that's all you could do because they're not going to learn. So that's the ADHD update. And, that's enough on that subject. So yeah, I might die in Texas. It's pretty likely that I'll die here because I don't really leave here very often. But also, one thing I know is it's not going to be at a hospital in Texas. It might be at a hospital in another state. But if I die in Texas, it will be in some sort of freak accident or a murder or an assassination. It'll be a quick death, because if it takes any longer than a minute, I'm getting medevaced to fucking Rhode Island or wherever the fuck Johns Hopkins is, like a real hospital, like the best of the best, because I'm not too impressed with the Texas medical system. That's another thing I'm probably going to get blacklisted from, because if you talk shit enough about doctors, they have a list. Anyway, of bad patients. Hard to work with patients. That's me. I'm very hard to work with as a patient, not as an actor. As an actor, I'm a fucking professional. But anyway, yeah, not impressed with the Texas medical system. And I don't really need to go into details. It has to do with sleep apnea. Getting diagnosed with sleep apnea takes like months and months. If you go through the medical system and there's waiting lists, it's like, okay, whatever. I get it. But you could just go online and there's doctors around the country that have systems of doing this in a much more efficient, cost-effective way, and I'm very impressed by that. And that makes me not impressed with a legacy medical system. Okay, so let's move on to the next. Oh, my secret is okay. I guess this also relates to. So I'm starting to find what combination of chemicals put me in the right mindset to be at my absolute best. This is a self-improvement podcast. So that's why we're talking about this. This is not drug abuse. This is a legitimate self-medicating regiment that I am tapping into. Nobody fucking is going to tell me to take mushrooms. No fucking doctor is going to be like, yeah, okay, take a little bit of Adderall and take 0.7 grams of mushrooms brewed as a tea. Take that 20 minutes. Take that right before you leave the house. And then by the time you get to wherever you're going, it'll hit. You'll be safe to drive. So this is something nobody would tell you to do this. Except for especially for people that don't have a medical degree and have nothing to lose, because it is a good idea if you're very safe and you're doing it properly. So what I do, not every day, but when I need to be at my absolute best, emotionally, creatively, socially, I take mushrooms and Adderall. I mean, Adderall I need to be on regardless, but it has a very synergistic effect with psychedelics, with mushrooms. I don't know about I'm not going to fuck with acid. I took acid like 15 years ago, and it almost killed me because I had to go to the ICU, and they pumped me full of sedatives, and I got very close to like my breathing had to be intubated. So I'm not going to fuck with acid. I learned a lot. I learned exactly what Bill Hicks talked about in one of his bits, positive drug news story, where it's just somebody took acid and they found out that there's no such thing as death and that we're all the same thing, just experiencing itself subjectively. And here's John with the weather. So it's a great bit, and it's also 100% true to this day. So it's not just a comedy bit. It's also like, holy crap, that's like actually like exactly what acid tells you. If you reach the highest level of acid or LSD, what you learn is pretty much everybody learns the same thing. It's like, okay, there's no such thing as death. What does that mean? Okay, am I really going to spend more time on yeah, fuck it. So there's no such thing as death. What does that mean? It took me a long time to piece this together, because when you're on the stuff, yeah, it's very, very palpable. But as soon as you become sober, it's very hard to remember the fucking thing. It's elusive. That's what's so magical about psychedelics, is that it's telling you something. They're telling you something that's absolutely true, unless you're psychotic. Sure, there's some things about it that could be purely based in psychosis. That's kind of what it is. But so what? There's still something going on. And what you learn on it, I believe, is not subjective. It's actually true. You learn that we're all the same thing. Every person and animal on the planet that's conscious, there's nothing unique about our particular individual consciousness or soul. We don't have I hate this is controversial, but souls are not, we don't have souls. There's no such thing as souls, because once you die, it all just goes right back to the pile of souls. We're all the same soul, just in a different glove, in a different finger of the same glove. The same hand is just putting its fingers in different finger holes, those being people. Each animal is a different part of the same hand. And that's something I learned, and that made things, that's pretty much what Nirvana, that's what got me to Nirvana, because once you find that out, you become at peace with the universe. Good and evil no longer really exist. It's like, okay, there's good and there's bad, but like they're both important. You can't have good without the bad. So you look at that and you go, okay, I get it now. I'm no longer, like, you see the yin yang. It's like, okay, there's dark, there's light. And that's what life is about. It's about riding the line and experiencing both. I don't fully understand every single thing about the universe, but that's one of the things I learned, is that every single individual is not actually an individual. We're all just the same consciousness being projected into different bodies. So when you die, yeah, that person, your ego dies. It goes away. But you get recycled back, because how could somebody die if we're all the same person? So it's kind of hard to explain fully, but I think people will understand what I'm saying. Here's another example that kind of demonstrates this phenomenon. We don't really fully understand consciousness, but one theory or one little thought experiment that I came up with is, what would happen if somebody switched bodies? Like, what if you not switch brains, not take your brain, switch brain. No, that is what I meant. What would happen if you switched bodies with another person? If your soul went into their brain. So you had their brain, not your brain. No surgery involved. Just literally, what would happen if, boom, you snap your fingers and I'm now in your body and you're in my body with the same brain that I have, but you're now in my head? What would happen? Well, nothing. Nothing would happen, because you'd be me. Just because your conscious changed bodies doesn't mean anything else is different. You're going to have the exact same thoughts that I have, and I'm going to have the exact same thoughts that you have, and nothing's going to change. I mean, right? Unless you believe in some form of spiritual difference between consciousness. But there isn't. Why would there be? The only thing that makes consciousness a thing is our brain. So if you're in somebody else's brain, you're them. There's not gonna be a single difference that happens. You're not even gonna notice that you even moved bodies. Why would you? I mean, your memory is not gonna be their memory anymore. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that a cool thought experiment? And that's just my evidence to confirm that, yeah, we're all this. Consciousness is not special. Our brains are special. That's what makes us unique, not the gasoline going through it. Isn't that crazy? So that's just something I thought about a few years ago. And it's like, yeah, that's kind of true. We're all the same. It makes you less judgmental when you find this out. It just gives you bliss, because you're just like, okay, that guy is doing his thing. If I was him, I'd be doing the same fucking thing. It just makes you less judgmental towards anybody, no matter how bad of a person they are. And that gets pretty controversial too when you think about it, man. When you say, like, oh, what about Hitler? You saying Hitler wasn't a bad person? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if you were him, you'd be a pretty good Hitler. You'd be just as good as the real Hitler. Okay, I think that puts a nice button on that. I don't know. It just gives you this feeling of nirvana, knowing that there's nothing to worry about even after you die, because you'll be fine. There is an afterlife. I don't understand that part of it. I don't know what the afterlife is, but I know that there's some form of energy retention. Your consciousness goes away, but that doesn't mean you're gone, because we're all still here, baby, since the beginning of time. Anyway, that's enough about psychedelia. But I don't know, I just find it interesting to talk about, because not everybody has reached that point of nirvana or, a breakthrough. Even if they take a lot of acid, they just don't have the sensitivity that I have to drugs, to where I actually reach that. They don't always reach nirvana. They don't always break through. So why not talk about it? That's what it feels like. It feels amazing. So anyway, but if I take a low dose of mushrooms and I take my medicine, Adderall, which is a prescribed medicine, yeah, I'm going to feel pretty fucking awesome in a multitude of ways. You got to be physically healthy. You can't you got to make sure that you don't have physical health is the first. Yeah. So as long as you feel good already, the mushrooms are going to make you feel even better. And it's going to put you in a creative mindset and an emotionally open mindset. But also it puts you into this mindset where you can absorb other people's signals and energy. And sometimes people will be putting out a negative energy. And if you're on mushrooms, you're going to very easily detect that and not want to be around them. Or you will be around them if they're nice, if you know them, and you could tell them, hey, you're putting off a very negative vibe, and maybe you could help them get out of that vibe. So it's a very powerful chemical for not just the person on it, but for the people around them. It really makes you surgical when it comes to perceiving other people's emotions. And so that's very valuable. I could help people. I could cheer people up a lot easier when I'm on shrooms, because I could read them. I could be, and I'm more selfless. And it's not that hard to cheer somebody up, like after they are going through a bad time, or if they had a bad set that they're unhappy about. I could be like, yeah, don't worry, you didn't bomb. It's just that the energy of what you were doing didn't match the energy of the room, and you didn't override, because the energy of the room was a bunch of other comics. They're not going to want to watch somebody just doing jokes, but it doesn't mean the jokes weren't good. So yeah, I don't know. And I could tell if somebody's funny with only about 10 seconds worth of watching them on stage. I could be like, okay, yeah, that guy's funny. Doesn't even matter what the audience is doing. Doesn't matter if they're fucking bombing. I could tell based on their instincts, just based on how they handle it, if they're fucking funny. And not everybody has that fucking skill. It takes talent to see talent. And I had a very fun night last night in terms of comedy. It's, like I had the right fucking mix of drugs. I was, but it put me in the right mood to do real comedy, like not fake bullshit where I was like doing an act. No, I was purely honest. I was very honest in the set I did. I did an open mic at like 1 a.m. and I went up there with like real confidence. Didn't do any jokes because that wouldn't have helped. That wouldn't have mattered. Like I did jokes, but they were not planned. They were all improvised. And that's why they worked, because they were actually genuine jokes that were in the moment, not fucking like trying to recapture the magic of when I did it another time. No, it's me actually talking from a place of purity. And that's why people listened. Okay, whatever. I don't need to give more comedy tips on this episode. I love talking about comedy, but not right now. I like talking about other stuff sometimes. Like, I like coaching people on comedy. I really do enjoy that almost more than doing comedy. I mean, there's nothing more pleasurable than doing comedy. It's pretty much it's better than any other fucking drug that I've done. It's probably not as good as heroin, but like, yeah, it's up there. It's up there. Doing a good job at stand-up comedy is the most rewarding feeling in the world. So I love doing it, and I'm going to try to actually make a name for myself in that field. I am trying to become a professional comedian at some point. Right now I'm starting with podcasting, and that feeds its way into other types of comedy. Like, we already talked about this. If you're good at podcasting, and if you have a successful podcast, you could fucking do stand-up in any city. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to gain clout. And to gain clout, you could talk shit about other people like I did with Andrew Tate. I wasn't actually talking shit. I was just giving him some constructive feedback. See, that's another thing. I could tell the difference between constructive criticism and bad criticism that's like not to be taken seriously. I could just tell now if somebody actually understands what I'm doing here. Like, if somebody tells me, oh, that sucks, you should stop doing that. Like, okay, I'm not going to listen. But if somebody says like, oh, you should change the angle of the lights so it doesn't highlight how pasty, how white your skin is, like, I would take that advice. Of course, I would take that advice. So there's ways to give people feedback that is not like hurtful or negative or pointless, like counterintuitive. Like, I don't give people advice unless they specifically ask for it. I give people notes sometimes, but also only when it's positive, usually. I don't fucking give people negative notes. I think somebody took one of my notes as negative last night, even though it was not at all. It was not negative. It was just me asking them if they enjoyed the show, kind of. It was like I could tell that they were kind of not happy to be there. Like, they just didn't enjoy the environment of the show. It was easy to tell. Audiences can tell when the comedian doesn't want to be there. So you might as well not hide it. Like, unless you're doing something super professional, like a TV show or something, you don't have to fucking pretend that you're having a good time. You know, you could do what comics are supposed to do, and that's to be honest with the audience and be like, you know what? I'm a comedian and everything like that. Like, I'm trying to make you guys laugh, but this show fucking sucks. And then just walk off stage. That's funny. As long as you attack it with comedy, if you try to do it in a funny way, it'll actually be good. Even if you say this sucks and shit on the show, if you do it in a professional, funny way, you're not going to burn any bridges. And people will remember it and be like, that was a great show. The comic didn't like doing it, but that's what made it funny. So I was just talking about that with somebody last night, and I don't think they took it the right. I think they took it as like criticism, even though, no, I was just talking shop. I've been doing it for 10 years, longer than the person I'm talking about. So it's like, I'm not trying to criticize. I'm just talking shop. I don't know. I guess some people get used to only getting compliments that they perceive maybe a neutral note as negative, when actually it's the opposite. I'm just trying to talk about it because you know, why not? So that's enough about that. Okay, here's another little quick tip. If you're in the entertainment industry and you often, you know, rub shoulders with other people in this same industry, if you are around other people that you don't quite know that well, like you're not super close with them, but you still have this mutual understanding of like, okay, yeah, we're both doing this comedy thing. Something I just learned is, instead of just walking away from a conversation that ends, like when a conversation reaches a lull and it's kind of done, you shouldn't just walk away. because people don't like that. It hurts their feelings kind of, because you're in something. You're doing something. You're participating in a two-person thing, a conversation. So it's better to say something instead of just being like, okay, I'm done talking to you. Because they'll be like, okay, I guess he's done talking to me. Like, all you have to say is, I'll be back. You just be like, oh, I gotta go to the bath. I gotta go. I'll be back. That's it. Just say that, even if it's not true. It's usually not true. You're not gonna always come back. But just say, I'll be back. And then they won't feel awkward. They won't feel like you rejected them or whatever. I don't know. These little tiny tips make a big difference in the long term. They add up to really helping or hurting the way people perceive you. And this is very important if you're just starting out and if you're actually trying to become a professional from being an amateur after 10 years or however long. That's when you actually have to start caring about this stuff. You can't just like you can't just be flippant and like blasé. If another comic is around you and somebody happens to speak about that other comic in your peripheral vision and like you don't really know them that well, or maybe you don't even really like them, don't fucking say that. Don't say you don't like somebody. It's just be like, if somebody says, oh, have you heard of this guy? And they're standing right there, just be like, yeah, fuck yeah, I've seen them around, yeah. That's it. That's all you have to say. You don't have to be like, yeah, I fucking love that guy. No. Just say, yes, of course. Yeah, of course I know that person. You might not even know their name and whatever. That's fine. But don't say like, oh, no, I don't fucking know that person. Don't do that. That's the worst thing you could do to a comic, is tell them that you've never heard of them. Don't do that. Even if it's true, it's a very confrontational thing to say. It's a very rude thing to say to somebody, even if you don't know them. Because they will remember you now. They will always remember you as the asshole that thinks they're too good to remember people. So yeah, don't do that. People have done that to me, and now that's all I think about whenever I see them. Like, oh, you're the guy who thinks you're better than everybody. Okay. That's going to see how that works out for you in the long term. Because when you do start to get success, ooh, man, those people are definitely going to remember that you were an asshole to them. Even if it was a very minor thing at the time, they will definitely they'll be like, holy crap, do I fucking not like you even more now that you're getting some heat under your ass. That's especially when you should be most sensitive to other people, is when you actually are starting to get some heat. That's when you should be like, are we good? Like that's not the time to be confident. That's not the time to have an ego. Ego, you need an ego, but it's really bad to act on it all the time. If you have validation, you don't need to pull out the ego card all the time. That's humbling. When you get validation, that's when your ego should recede into the back of your mind. You shouldn't have to talk about it anymore. So I don't know, just little things, little tips that I'm learning the hard way, kind of. But also, I have some instinct to include other people in the conversation. Don't just fucking stonewall. Like if you're in a two-person conversation, whatever, that might be private. So that's fine to just kind of maintain, not let other people in. But if it's a three-person conversation and you're not an asshole, and the topic isn't about like somebody's funeral or something, then yeah, you should probably at least like give them some eye contact. If somebody's like hovering near the conversation, the polite thing to do is to just glance at them to show that you're open to them joining the conversation. Because come on, that's just another thing that I run into all the fucking time, because I don't have a clique yet, not yet. So often I find myself just standing alone in a comedy club just minding my own business, but also I wouldn't mind talking to somebody. So I hover, I start to just kind of walk around and like see if I could join this conversation. And very often I get stonewalled. People just go like completely pretend I'm invisible. It's like, okay, I get it. You're cool, but it's not a polite thing to do. And I don't do that. I don't do that to even people I don't like. Like, even if you're around somebody you don't like, you don't have to be a dick to them. It's not like, just tolerate them, but you don't have to fucking... All right, that's enough on that fucking subject. We're going to wrap. We're not going to do a very long episode. Just a couple more things to run through. So complimenting people. So I did a set last night at 12:30 a.m. or some shit like that. And I did pretty well. I was super confident and I played with the chaos that was ensuing in the room. The microphone wasn't working. So they had the comic before me do their set from the sound booth, which is not anywhere near the stage. It's in the back of the room, way in the corner. Nobody could see you. They could hear you, but whatever. It's not a podcast. I want to be seen. So I didn't do that. The mic was not, there was no microphone on stage when I was called up. So I walked past the sound booth and he was like, "Are you going to come here and do your set?" I was like, "No, I'm not going to fucking do my set from the sound booth. I'll do it on stage without a mic. That will do better than being in a sound booth where nobody can see me." So that's what I did. I just went up there, and by the time I made it to the stage, somebody behind this, like as I was going through the back part of the stage, somebody gave me a microphone. So it worked out it worked out. I had a microphone, and it was a really fun improvised set. It was fully improvised, and the reason I'm talking about it for so long is because who cares? Why are you talking about a fucking open mic set? It's because Shane Gillis, Mark Normand, and Ari Shafir happened to be watching at the time. I didn't really know this. I saw Ari. I saw him. I didn't know if it was really him, though, or just somebody that looked like him. But it was him and Shane and Mark. Name drop. 3 name drops in one. So that was very like gratifying to do well. And they actually fucking watched. They weren't just like talking to, they actually like watched some of it, I guess, because they said I did well. So like all of them said I did well. So that's like very unreal. That feels like a made up thing. Like, really? Sure. All 3 of them gave you a compliment afterwards. Like, yeah, they did, because they're nice. They could recognize talent. They could see talent. So yeah, why wouldn't they say something nice? And I took it pretty, I don't know, like I didn't fangirl over them. Pretty much everybody else was fangirling, and I don't really do that anymore. Like, you could still compliment people without being a fangirl. Because of course I look up to these guys with the utmost possible respect you could buy. Like, I look at them as comedy royalty. I've been a fan of them since you could be a fan of them. But does that mean I have to say that? Not really. I mean, because I'm a comic. Like, I look at myself as just co-workers. Like they're my, not peers, but we're in the same industry. So it's not crazy to think that I could be one of them or someday. So like, I didn't really change my behavior just because they were there. I didn't like act like a sycophant. I just kind of was like, "Oh yeah, cool." It puts a pep in your, like, it makes you more excited. It definitely elevates the mood when there's famous people around. But like, did I go up to them? No, not really. I kind of did after the set, but I'm like not in like a desperate way. I just kind of walked to get water, and then I don't know, I joined the conversation, and it was very like organic. And so that's it. I don't know. There's not much else to talk about with that. It's just like But Shane, he was like, oh, that was funny. And I was like, yeah, 10 years in. That was my fucking response. What a fucking... That's a little bit more than neutral. That's a little bit of an arrogant thing to say to somebody like that. But I think that's actually not that bad. I think to do that shows that it gets you, it commands respect to be like, yeah, I'm 10 years in. But then he said, yeah, and then he said it again. And then I said, thank you very much. I don't know, like, because if you show that you're not a sycophant, people will respect you more. They will actually chase after your approval, because he'll be like, oh, what is this guy? He's not going to accept my compliment. So they say it again to reaffirm that, hey, buddy, pay attention. I'm not just some asshole. You better accept my compliment like an actual professional. I don't know. That's just how I read the situation, because he said it again, like, yeah, that was funny. And he looked at me, he's like, are you going to fucking say thank you, motherfucker? So I said thank you. Yeah, so it was a very fun time, and like, I had real confidence that I earned from doing it for a decade. I don't even do stand-up that often, but it doesn't matter. If you're doing comedy, even off stage, in this apartment, or whatever the fuck this is, this house that I live in, this studio that I record this podcast and I edit videos in like 10 hours a day, yeah, you could actually maintain confidence even if you don't do stand-up every day, because you're doing other shit that proves that you're fucking funny. And podcasting is a spoken word art. Stand-up is a spoken word art. So if you exercise your voice muscles and actually get good at stringing words together, that really does translate to stand-up. But I should do it more often to actually get to my best level, because I did well at this 4-minute open, but like I could have done a lot better. So I'm always challenging myself to be like, no, I could have done even better. But it was an extremely good feeling, and it's still kind of in my bones, and I haven't really told anybody. You know, you don't really have to tell people about it, except for on this podcast, because this is what this is for. It's a very personal video diary type thing, but you know, I know who to tell and who not to tell about this type of stuff, because when something important happens in your career, you don't want to tell the wrong person, because they will just completely take it away from you. You only want to tell the people who are actually going to be excited and not, you know, to hear this, not be jealous, not be like, oh, okay, good for you. Like, you know, you want to tell people that actually understand why that's a substantial milestone. Because I haven't done sets in front of famous people, that very many that I could think of. Anyway, so you need that validation, but once you have it, once you know you're funny, and you know you're funny, not like, oh, I guess I'm fun. No, once you absolutely know that you're funny, you don't have to like try. It just happens. You could just relax. You just like let your instincts take over. You don't really have to think about like, oh, how am I going to be funny today? No, you just are. You're just funny. And that really helps continue to do creative shit, because you don't get burnt out. You just go, okay, I'm going to keep being creative. I'm not going to lose my sense of creativity. You might overnight. You might have it at some point, but that's just something I learned. And that's how you maintain confidence even at open mics. It's like, okay, I don't give a fuck. This is an open mic. I don't give a fuck. Even if I bomb, I'm still funny. Anyway, I think that's enough on that. And I already kind of talked about the whole, like, it's better to be fake nice than it is to be honest. If you're trying to get somewhere, like there's a lot of fakery, a lot of social climbing that involves flattery. I don't do that. I don't flatter people for the sake of getting something out of them. I say what I truly believe. and then they actually take it as a compliment. They don't, their bullshit detector doesn't go off because it's not bullshit. It's actually coming from, it's a genuine compliment. And I'm pretty nice to people when it comes to complimenting them, because people need that. People need to know that somebody at least got what they're doing, you know? Okay, just one more topic. So I'm doing a lot of content production right now. Besides this podcast, I also do random ideas and videos. Like I had this idea to film myself as I was driving to a comedy club last week. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to film myself the whole way there in one shot from my garage to the parking garage. And I did it with this camera right here. It's a new, I just got this camera. It's a 360 camera, so it has these lenses on both sides that wrap around, and they capture a 360-degree view, and it's fucking amazing. So I guess I'll do a quick demonstration of what it looks like. So not only does it capture 360, it also has this cool feature where it doesn't pick up the selfie stick. So see how it has an obnoxiously long selfie stick? Yeah, so as I'm filming right now, it's not capturing the selfie stick. It's only capturing what's around the selfie stick. The selfie stick always stays just out of view. So it looks invisible, and it's fucking awesome. So it looks like I have a drone just following me around. So I used this as I was driving. It was hanging out the window the entire drive. I had it literally this far out the window of the car. So it could see a lot of shit. It looked fucking awesome. It was also pretty dangerous. So this is something I'm not going to do probably again, but unless I'm the passenger. But it was fucking ridiculous, the footage that I captured from this one little idea. And it's going to take a little bit to edit it, because you have to tell the editing software where you want the camera to be pointed to at any given time. So otherwise it just looks like a circle and it's too much detail. So you gotta, it's going to take a bit to edit it, but it's going to be probably one of the most funny pieces of content that I'm going to be putting out in quite a while. So I'm excited for that. That's it. I think that's about it. I don't know. It's awesome. My creativity is at its utmost peak. Let's see what it looks like really close to the camera. Anyway, so I'm thinking about getting Timmy Gusto to start a podcast. Now that I'm doing this one as me, as just regular old Tim Weichselbaum, and I'm not going to be dressing and whatever, I'm trying to get Timmy Gusto to do his own podcast, and we'll see about that. He's very busy with other stuff at the moment, so maybe it might not happen, but there's something to look for. You know, I post content every day on his social medias, and it's fun. It's nice to actually get some views, you know. Okay, that was a very low, boring end of the episode, but what can I say? What can I fucking say? It's been a good week for me. I'm going to be getting a lot of sex pretty soon. I mean, I'm not a lot, but I'm probably going to be getting sex pretty soon. This is a very gross thing. Why would I say? I don't know. I'm very choosy about who I hit on. I don't hit on people unless, because if you're going somewhere as a comic, you're working, you're on the clock. So I don't fucking inject myself into creepy conversation. Like, I don't try to say anything that could come off as unprofessional. But that doesn't mean that doesn't mean I don't have to. It's not that hard to get laid if you're fucking cool. This has been episode 55 of the program. Thank you all very much for listening.